Good morning, students. It is Wednesday the 22nd, or at least that's what the calendar tells me. Reality is hard to follow these days. Alright, so your news for the coronavirus. The big thing to follow, guys, is that a handful of states, primarily southern ones, are beginning to reopen. Now, there's a couple things going on with this. There's some considerable backlash and mixed support for this. There are some citizens who support this because they argue that the coronavirus has either been overblown or that the damage to the economy is somehow worse than the actual loss of human life. At the same time, most infectious disease experts agree that there is insufficient access to testing and ability for states to trace any new outbreaks before states to actually do this kind of opening. So Georgia is going to be interesting to follow for the next couple of weeks because they're really going to be the test bed as we see the governor insisting on reopening while many of the local mayors, especially those in the black communities in Georgia, which tend to be harder hit due to various long-term historical, racial, and economic detriments, tend to be hit a little bit harder than the wealthier white neighborhoods. So we're going to see this interesting, proto-scenario play out here as Georgia does its early openings and we see all this going on. Notably, the argument was that a number of businesses, essential businesses, including somehow tattoo parlors and bowling alleys, are going to be allowed to operate as long as people follow social distancing guidelines. Now, I say this, the very first images coming through have already shown that people are not following the rules on some of the Florida and Georgia beaches, so there you go. Alright, for history kids, something to watch that harkens back to our opium wars and that time that Britain became the world's largest drug dealer. The Kings and Generals channel has produced a few days ago an excellent documentary on William Jardine, who was a Scotsman and is technically the wealthiest and most successful drug dealer in human history. So enjoy that one. For my econ kids, the delightful article that came out very early this morning is that the state of Missouri is suing China over coronavirus impacts. Now, I believe I've already linked to you guys a video about why this is not actually going to work, but if I haven't, go ahead and go to the Legal Eagle channel, which I have already told you guys about previously, and he does a whole video about why it is that American states and even the American government cannot sue China over incompetence. And basically it boils down to because if we could sue them for incompetence, they could sue us for incompetence. So there are actually international laws. Missouri is doing this more as a political stunt than it is out of any hope of actually accomplishing anything. There's no way for this lawsuit to work, but I imagine it makes some people feel better. Alright, last thing, guys, as I continue to give you entertainment options on how to pass the time, my next game to recommend for you guys is a very lovely game called Valley. Valley is a 3D first-person platformer and exploration game. I think it took me about 4.5 hours to beat, and that was with me wandering around, taking my time. So another one of these short games, so I'm mostly recommending. It's a very delightful game, although I will say it has one heck of a tonal shift about halfway through. So I won't spoil anything, but let's just say it starts out very peacefully and then it ratchets up the intensity towards the end. Alright guys, I will see you tomorrow with more news and more recommendations for how to keep your sanity and your mental acumen during the lockdown. Goodbye.